Samson Dauda wins another one, winning the Romania Pro Muscle Fest, beating Nathan Diasha, beating Berus Tabani, and beating Horse MD, aka Marcelo De Angelis. Great package. He looked incredible. Samson is my favorite current competitive bodybuilder on the circuit because of the shape, because of the lines, because of the height. He's not a condition monster, at least from the rear. We can see from the rear he does hold either water or fat, or he just might suffer with that thick skin syndrome that we see some competitors do, to where they can be as lean as they want. They can be peeled from the front and from the side. But for whatever reason, that conditioning does not translate to the back. And I'm not sure if Samson will ever capture that rare conditioning, but it's good enough to place top 3 in the world, and it's good enough for him to jump into any show he wants that doesn't have Hadi, that doesn't have Derek, and most likely picks up a win. So congrats to Samson. Not a shocker, not surprised. I mean, kind of expect, to be honest. But what was not expected was that Berus Tabani pushed him that far. Now, Berus, this guy is an Olympia top 10 caliber competitor. He is. He has issues with actually making it to the United States to actually compete due to the fact that he's Iranian. And I know Hadi's been able to get a visa for the past, I think it's, 4 or 5 years. But Berus and other Iranian bodybuilders actually compete and qualify for the Olympia. They just can't do it. And I don't know what route Hadi goes through. I don't know if these guys are able to go through his system in terms of getting into the United States. But Berus, he just has to settle for these European shows. And he does very well. He's won, I believe, 2 shows for the past 2 years, qualifying for the Olympia each time. This time, though, he ran to Samson. Now, he actually did bring an impressive package. Listen, this guy has great shape. He has great lines. He has incredible top-tier conditioning. He has a very good and thick back from the rear and from the front. You can see the lats from the front. You can see the back in terms of thickness from in the back double and the width in the lat spread. But I think he falls short on just the quad size. And Samson is a monster. Samson is big everywhere. He is massive in the legs. I mean, his quads are probably the best quad muscle in terms of shape and separation on the IFBB circuit. Today, I'll say between him and I might give Andrew Jack an edge. Hadi, although he doesn't have those crazy sweeps, they're big quads, shredded, feathered, vascular. But in terms of, if I were to pick a set of quads to put on my own legs, it would be Samson. 10 times out of 10. Incredible. Berus does lack the quad development to stand next to a Samson Dauda and his overall muscle. Samson is a muscle man. He's a big man. He's a freak. He's a 300 pounds on stage. Incredible. Berus has a shape. He has the conditioning. He doesn't have the muscle size to stand next to Samson. Although people did say it was close, he did get perfect scores. So to the judges, Berus wasn't much of a threat to Samson Dauda. But nonetheless, he had probably the best conditioning in the entire show. He had the best rear shot in terms of a back double in the entire show. And it would have been an upset if he did beat Samson. But by no means would I have been like, that's a robbery. It would have been shocking, for sure. But I think Berus is just great. I see Berus having top 7, top 8 potential if he made it to the Olympia and actually was able to compete. I see him beating a guy like potentially Crizo. I see him beating a guy potentially like Hunter. I don't know if he'll actually be able to touch like Andrew Jack, Brandon Curry at this point, but he can get there. Now, the biggest shock of the show is actually 3rd place, Horse MD making his pro debut at the Romania Muscle Fest. And he actually competed, I think it was 260 pounds. He turned pro at, I think it's 101 kilograms, which is about 233 pounds. And he stepped on stage at, I think he posted 118 kilograms, which is almost 30 pounds extra of stage weight. This show, I don't think he was in the same conditioning that he was when he turned pro, but my God, was he impressive. I was very concerned about his waist. I was very concerned about his lack of a back. But when he does a vacuum, his waist actually looks pretty good. It actually looks streamlined. It actually looks like it fits to the physique. But there's some poses to where, for example, in the front lat spread, his waist seems like the more prominent part of that pose versus the lats or anything else, to be fair. But I think that just like a posing thing, I don't think he's really missing anything. I think in terms of the back, same thing. I think he has the potential to have a back. The lower lats are there. The back is wide. You can see the rear lat spread. The back is there. He has it. I think tweaking of the posing, I think a bit more size on the back, and I think this overall better presentation, he probably can start winning some shows. I mean, he came third in his pro debut, beating Nathan Diasha. That is no small feat. This guy has some of probably the best proportionate legs right now in the IFBB, having matching hamstrings, quads, calves, and glutes, the whole entire lower body. It is exceptional. And I think I actually did put him over Nathan in this example. And with the legs, having great arms, incredible peaks, incredible shape, incredible midsection when he actually does a vacuum. This guy has potential. I think he's out of that potential top 10 Olympia caliber placing. I mean, if you beat Nathan, you are top 10. Regan beat Nathan. I think Regan placed 9th. Arguably, I think he probably could have been 8th. I don't know if I agree with Tonio Burton beating Regan, although Tonio was actually exceptional as well. I think he definitely has potential to be of that top 10, but this is his first show. Give him time. Give him another year or two of prepping and, actually trying to put on muscle tissue. If he actually does get to qualify this season, it'll actually be very great to see him on the Olympic stage. I know next week is going to be the Prague Pro, and Samson's in the Prague Pro, and I don't think he's going to be beating Samson, at least in this lineup. But Horst is also in this lineup, and I don't know if he really believes he can win, but I think at this point he's just enjoying his rookie year. He's actually enjoying the process, because when you come off of a debut pro show, placing third, beating a top 10 Olympian like Nathan Diasha, that's going to give you a high, and you must feel pretty motivated at that point. Now, what happened to Nathan? Why did Nathan place 4th? Nathan is right now the most winningest pro bodybuilder in the open class right now, winning. I think he has a streak, not a streak, but he has I think it's 11 pro wins in terms of his entire competitive history. Right now on the circuit, there's no other pro that's actually an open men's pro bodybuilder that has 11 that's actually competing. We know Dexter has way more than 11, but Dexter is retired. So to beat a guy like that, Horst MD beating a guy like that, I mean, it's good for Horst, but it's bad for Nathan, the fact that he is all the way in 4th in this kind of show. He should be no lower than 2nd, because he wasn't beating Samson, but he should be no lower than 2nd. So what happened to Nathan? What was wrong with Nathan's physique? Nothing was wrong with it, to be fair. I would say he looked a bit smaller. He's not as big as he was in the past. Like when he won the New York Pro, I think in 2017, 18, one of those years, when he actually won the New York Pro, he was massive. He was a sight to be seen. And although he's maintained his shape and he's a conditioned guy, for some reason he doesn't have the same size. And when you have a lineup like with Samson, who has the biggest physique in the entire IFBB Pro rank, I mean, maybe next to Big Ramy, who actually has literally the biggest physique. Samson's a close second. Having Beirut, which probably has one of the best backs in the open class, next to Horst, who has some of the widest and thickest quads and thickest side legs in the open class, you tend to kind of expose Nathan a bit. Like, he's a big guy, but his legs looked a little undersized. He's a big guy, but his back width wasn't as wide. He didn't fill out some of the poses as much versus the other guys. In this lineup, his weaknesses were pretty exposed, and I think it was enough to just keep him outside the top 3, to be fair. I know Nathan's a guy that loves to compete. He probably is looking for qualification, but he also did say that he lives off of bodybuilding, so I'm probably sure he's looking to capture some first place wins so he can actually get some prize money. So to actually be on a streak of losses, I mean, losing to Regan, coming second, then coming here and placing 4th, it probably is pretty discouraging. It probably is. But he will also be in Prague. I believe that is next weekend or even this weekend. So Prague is a crazy lineup. We have Samson, we have Nathan, we have Horst, we have Michael Krizo, who's also competing. Michael Krizo placed, I think it was 7th in this year's Olympia. So we have the top 3 placing, Samson Dauda, and then we have the top 7 placing, which is Michael Krizo in this Prague Pro. And then we have Horst coming off of his pro debut, placing 3rd. There are Nathan, who currently is the most winningest bodybuilder on the IFBB Pro circuit right now. It's a pretty good show. You have some other names in there, but those are actually the top 4 that actually wanted to make note of. So Samson's racking it up, but can he win another one? Because Michael Krizo, although the gap between 3rd and 7th is quite large, Michael is not a small bodybuilder. Michael is not lacking conditioning. Michael is not lacking any body parts, to be fair. He has bigger arms than Samson. He maybe has a bigger frame than Samson. Samson kills him in pure leg size. Samson kills him in pure shoulder size. Samson kills him in shape. But Michael has better conditioning. Like, you know, it's kind of a toss-up based off of who's judging that show. If judges prefer maybe a more freakier body part type of bodybuilder, being Michael, having freaky arms and maybe a freaky chest, but kind of, I don't want to say undersized legs, but undersized legs next to Samson. I mean, almost anyone has undersized legs next to Samson, versus like Samson, who's the aesthetic guy, who's the symmetry guy, who's the proportionate guy. I can see either guy winning. I expect Samson because he's 3rd, and that's just kind of what I would think they would go with in terms of if he just shows up the same, if not a little better, then I don't see Michael beating him. But Michael is not no slouch. He actually could pull through and place pretty well here, if not win. It's interesting, right? It's going to be a good show. And I'm interested in seeing what happens here, guys. So quick video. Hope you enjoy it, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.